No one in the company knew who the old cleaning lady, the one who got milk dumped on her head every morning, really was. And when powerful people kept abusing, pressuring, and insulting the weak, she simply bent down, quietly wiped the floors, silently recording every piece of evidence, until one day everyone would be forced to freeze in shock before the truth. Before we begin the story, if this kind of story touches your heart, please take a few seconds to click the subscribe button to support me. That way, the next touching stories will find their way to you more easily. And now, let us listen to the story. A splash of white liquid flew from the cart and hit her face. It was milk. And it was cold. "Oh, sorry," my hand slipped. The man who said that was the head of the planning department, Nathan Carter, smiling fakely as he tossed the empty milk carton into the trash. "Hey, Carter, is that something a department head should be doing?" The young female employee beside him giggled. Flashy nails, short skirt, smartphone in hand. "What's the problem? She's an old cleaning lady. Her job is to clean up milk." Nathan carefully brushed off his suit sleeve, then looked down at the elderly woman covered in cold milk with clear disdain. "Oh, and the floor's slippery now. If someone falls, that's on you. Also, why are you cleaning here so early in the morning? You're in the way." The small elderly woman knelt in the hallway uniform, soaked with cold milk seeping in. But she didn't say a single word. Her name was Susan Miller. She was 79 years old, but at that moment, no one in the company knew her true title: the founder from zero and former chairwoman. Now she was just a part-time janitor. Susan slowly knelt down and carefully wiped the spilled milk on the floor. No one offered a hand. No one even spared a glance. From afar, she could hear the sound of someone taking photos with a phone. She silently accepted it. Instead, she quietly asked herself, when did this company start going wrong? From a small workshop on the outskirts of Los Angeles. After 40 years, the company had grown into a large corporation with branches inside and outside the country. It had once been her greatest pride. A few years ago, she stepped away from the front lines, handing the company to her son, Kevin Miller. Serious, hard-working with an MBA from Texas. Back then, she believed everything would be fine. But lately something felt off. Sales were good. Numbers looked beautiful. But Susan's instincts sounded an alarm. The front and the back of the company no longer matched. And so she made a decision. To let go of her name, her past, put on a simple janitor's uniform, and step into the deepest part of the company. Becoming a cleaning lady someone overlooked was the only way to see what others could not. And the very first scene she witnessed was exactly what had just happened. 11 o'clock that morning, Susan was cleaning the floor at the end of the hallway. She focused so deeply, it looked as if she were having a conversation with the floor, missing not a single stain. Then came the sound of footsteps. From afar, a man in a navy blue suit walked toward her. Polished suit, neat hair, a prominent figure in the company. The CEO, Kevin Miller. He walked while checking his phone. His eyes briefly passed over Susan. Their eyes met for 1 second. But Kevin immediately looked back at his phone, walking past her. Without a greeting, without a glance, not even recognizing her existence, Susan paused unconsciously. Her only son, the one she poured her whole life into raising, could no longer see people as people. Kevin wasn't a bad person. He had simply grown used to living by numbers. "Your eyes used to be much softer," Susan murmured, then continued wiping the floor. If she wanted to save the company, she had to start from the field. Susan's battle began there. "How many times do I have to tell you? This document is different from the instructions I gave." A furious shout echoed through the hallway. Susan had just finished cleaning the lower floor and was bringing paperwork to the admin office when she heard it. In front of the photocopier, a young woman stood with her head bowed. Her back was unnaturally tense. The person shouting was a middle-aged man. "You contract workers really are useless. I'm sorry, but the instructions said the content should be, stop making excuses. That's why people like you stay contract forever." Her shoulders trembled violently. The word contract stabbed into her chest like a knife. Susan stopped to observe. The girl looked to be in her early 20s. A beige cardigan, black pants, no makeup, simple, but clean. The type of person who tried not to bother anyone, not to draw any attention. After the man left, the girl remained frozen, head down. Fists clenched. Susan approached. The girl jerked up her eyes, slightly red, but she didn't cry. No one knew whether she couldn't cry or was trying not to. "Are you all right?" Susan asked. The girl shook her head lightly. "I'm sorry. I was told that someone who isn't a full-time employee isn't allowed to speak up for me." Her eyes held fear and exhaustion. Susan nodded. After a moment, she gently asked, "Why are you still here enduring this?" The girl smiled weakly, but it was a smile of blaming herself. "My parents aren't around. My grandmother raised me. She's old now, bedridden. After graduating, I had to work immediately. Contractor. Whatever. As long as I can earn money." Her voice cracked. "I want to become a full-time employee. Not just anywhere, but here. I thought, if I could work here someday, I could help my grandma live more comfortably." Those words tightened Susan's chest. This child had no one to protect her, yet she still tried to protect someone else. "What's your name?" "Misa. Misa Young, if you want. Next time have lunch with me. I only know some cheap meals at the cafeteria." Misa blinked in surprise, then smiled softly. "I'd like that." That smile reminded Susan of herself when she was young. Before this child gets crushed, I must do something. A flame lit up inside her. That evening, in the nearly empty office, most employees had gone home. Only the tapping sounds of a keyboard echoed. Click. Pause. Click. It was Misa Young. At the corner desk assigned to contract workers, she sat focused on her computer screen. Her eyes were so serious, it was as if all her nerves were concentrated on a single point. The clock showed past 8 p.m. Susan happened to see the light from the meeting room while she was taking out the trash there. She glanced in. On the screen was the final page of a proposal document chart. Color schemes supporting data layout, planning target user, trend analysis. None of it looked like the work of an amateur. Anyone with an eye for quality would recognize its true value immediately. When Susan spoke up, Misa jolted in shock. "Sorry, I forgot to close the door. No, I'm not angry. You did all this by yourself. I heard contract workers are allowed to submit proposals too, even though I know it's hard. It's all right. This proposal will be accepted. The content is solid, and most importantly, it communicates clearly." Misa's eyes widened, as if tears might fall. "This is the first time anyone has ever told me that." Susan nodded quietly. This child was worth believing in. The next morning, right after the morning meeting, Misa held her proposal and knocked on the meeting room door. At the center of the room sat her direct supervisor, the head of sales department, Scott Adams. "Excuse me, regarding today's proposal, huh? A contract worker wanting to make a proposal." Adams took the document and frowned. He flipped through a few pages. And only a few seconds later, "I see," he muttered. "Rip." In the very next moment, Adams tore Misa's proposal in half without hesitation. "This thing has no value at all. The numbers are exaggerated. Everything's unrealistic theory, but..." I double-checked the data. Misa's voice trembled. Shut up. Contract workers stay silent and follow orders. Who gave you the right to propose anything? Everyone else in the room quietly turned away. Some stared at their phones. Others pretended to tidy papers. Misa stood there alone. Then Adams smirked and pulled another stack of papers from his drawer. This is good. Look, simple and effective. In his hand was the proposal made by Walter Adams, the son of the sales director. Only 2 pages. The content was just scattered ideas. No charts, no data, no calculations. But because of the name on it, it was praised. As expected of the director's son. He's got a future, everyone chimed in. That's right. Walter is a genius. No one looked at Misa's effort. No one examined the torn pages. Behind her cleaning cart, Susan gripped the mop handle tightly. Too unfair. Too degrading. Misa bowed, picking up the torn scraps, whispering, It's because I'm still not good enough. I'll try harder. But her voice sounded like she was blaming herself to the point of breaking. Another flame ignited in Susan's heart. Don't worry, child. I won't let your efforts go to waste. 11:15 the next morning. Susan stood in the hallway outside the sales director's office holding a bucket and rag. The company had guests that day, and the atmosphere was more tense than usual. Employees passed by anxiously. At that moment, through the slightly open door, a low voice came out. Susan froze. Through the small gap, she saw the sales director Sato, now known as Richard Adams, handing an envelope to a client. The envelope was thick, clearly containing something. The client glanced inside, nodded lightly. Then I'll trust you to handle next month's matter. Susan pretended to wring her rag, but her hand trembled slightly. When the door closed again, she stood still. Now she was certain. This company still had things hidden in the dark. That afternoon, Susan was collecting trash inside Richard Adams's office. No one was inside. Excuse me, she stepped in. On the desk were a half-finished cup of coffee and scattered receipts. By regulation, cleaners weren't allowed to touch documents. But Susan scanned the surroundings. No one. She gently picked up one receipt. Club Manhattan, 8 people, $1,450. Late night taxi, $160. Client entertainment company covered expenses. Susan lifted her phone emotionless and quietly took a photo. Receipts from an upscale Manhattan bar. Late night taxi rides. Luxury gifts and flowers. All billed under client entertainment. A suspicious flow of money. But Susan didn't get angry. She didn't panic. She simply documented everything calmly. When the core of rot is exposed, it collapses on its own. Just then, did I forget to lock the door? Footsteps in the hallway. Danger. Susan immediately pocketed her phone, placed the receipt back exactly, and pretended to tie up the trash bag. The door opened. Richard Adams stepped in. Oh, it's you. You scared me. Susan bowed silently, as she was about to leave. Hey, wait, a voice behind her. Her heart clenched, though her face remained calm. You came in here, right? You didn't touch my desk, did you? Susan turned back, speaking softly. I only collected the trash, sir. Excuse me. Adams narrowed his eyes. Humph. All right. Next time knock if I'm in the room. Yes, I'm sorry. Susan walked out. The wheels of her cart squeaked across the floor, echoing the tension. In her bucket, the water rippled like the air in this company. She dumped the dirty water, filled it again. To clean the company's real stains. Who sent this document to the sales department? The question froze the entire office. The one holding the document was Walter Adams, the director's son, the one praised for his useless proposal. He had joined the company thanks to his father's influence, had terrible abilities, but no one dared touch him. "You seriously sent this to a client?" "Is this a joke?" Walter barked. The younger staff quickly turned away, his eyes locked onto someone. In the corner sorting papers, Misa. "Hey, you right, young? You photocopied the files yesterday, didn't you, huh? You're the one who sent the wrong document, huh?" "I didn't receive such instructions. Also that document." "Shut up! Are you denying it or admitting it?" Walter slammed the desk. Misa's shoulders shook. Before she could find words, Sales Director Richard Adams entered. "Young, you think a contract worker like you has the right to talk back? You think if you get fired, you can go anywhere? Who's going to hire you? High school graduate, no degree, taking care of a bedridden granny. No one wants you." Misa turned pale. Just one line. "What if your grandma falls? Huh?" Would make her collapse. No one said anything. No one stopped them, as if this was normal. Behind the photocopier, Susan held her phone. The recording light glowed red. Enough, she thought. Her hands didn't shake, but her ears didn't miss a single word. Finally, Misa whispered, "I'm sorry. I understand." "Good." Richard nodded, satisfied, patting Walter's shoulder before leaving. Misa quietly picked up the scattered papers, as if trying to gather the shreds of her torn dignity. Susan stopped the recording. No one sees her effort. But I do. "I heard another contract worker quit, yeah. The 9th one this month. The sales department. 2 and planning department are hell." In the company cafeteria, Susan wiped the area around the hot water machine. The gossip behind her pierced her ears. Contract workers and new employees kept quitting, more than 10 in half a year. Most came from sales department 2 and planning. Susan quietly gathered everything. Torn proposal scraps, copies of resignation notes, lines like "forced blamed," harassed on resignation forms. This isn't one person's problem. It's a whole system crushing the weak. She organized the photos, recordings, and documents into one file. Meanwhile, in the president's office, Kevin read a report. Profits increasing. Turnover rate stable. Good. His secretary nodded. The situation on the ground seemed smooth. Kevin was talented. But he didn't look at people's faces, didn't look at the field, didn't know who was quitting, who was suffering. And the cost of that blindness was coming for him. One afternoon, a field report came in. The document sent to a client had a major error. Responsible person listed Misa Young. What now? That girl's messed up 3 times already. Adams slammed the table. And the issue with editing Walter's document. I didn't do those things. Misa trembled. Then who did? Walter barked. Richard stepped forward. Young, you think a contract worker is equal to a full-time employee? At that moment, Susan was walking past the hallway. Through the glass window, she saw Misa on the verge of tears, surrounded by 3 men. She didn't hesitate. Susan opened the meeting room door. Stop! The room froze. Hey, old lady, this is an employee's meeting room, Adams snapped. You're accusing this girl with no evidence just because she's lower in status. Shut up. You're fired too. A moment of silence, then a few snickers. Misa paled. Susan looked straight at the 3 men and, then I'll accept that termination. No one understood. No one knew they had just dug their own grave. Susan quietly took out her phone. In the hallway, standing by a window, Susan opened her contacts. She stopped at one name and called. One ring, the other side answered. Please prepare the meeting room as we discussed. Yes, ma'am. She hung up. In her pocket, the recording. In her bag, photos of receipts. In her USB, all the evidence. She walked away, not looking back at the room full of laughing men. No one knew the janitor was about to change the entire company. A few hours later, the whole company received an announcement. 4 p.m. today. Emergency all-company meeting in the anniversary hall. And that was the beginning. 4 p.m. Employees poured into the hall. Why is there an emergency meeting? Even department heads and directors are here. The screen was blank. No one stood on the stage. Someone whispered maybe the president's announcing a new direction. Or maybe layoffs. At that moment, the back door quietly opened. A woman walked in. The janitor, Susan Miller. Whispers spread instantly, huh? The cleaning lady, what's she doing up there? Is this some kind of joke, Nathan? Carter frowned. What is this? A hidden camera prank, Scott. Adams and Walter crossed their arms, smirking. We just fired her earlier. Feels like a horror movie, old lady revenge. But Susan didn't say a word. She stepped to the microphone, placed a stack of papers beside it, along with a laptop and a USB. Please lower the screen, she said calmly. The projector screen slowly descended. The murmurs didn't stop. Susan remained silent. Gradually, the hall quieted. Well then, let me begin. Her voice was gentle, yet carried undeniable authority. Susan stepped slightly aside. A figure appeared behind her. The CEO, Kevin Miller. The hall erupted in shock. Kevin took the microphone. I would like to announce. The woman standing here is my mother, the founder of this company. And starting today, she officially returns as chairwoman. The hall exploded. Those who had mocked her earlier turned pale. They finally realized that the cleaning lady they insulted was the founder herself. Nathan Carter remembered dumping milk on her. His face went ghost white. Scott Adams and Walter were speechless. No one made a sound. Susan inserted her USB into the computer. Today was not the janitor getting angry. Today, Chairwoman Susan Miller would deliver judgment. Please play the audio recording. The lights dimmed. A voice echoed through the hall. If you get fired, where will you go? Who's gonna hire someone with only a high school diploma if I tell you to do something, you do it? That's it. Next came the video of Richard Adams handing over the bribe envelope. Then the photos receipts from Manhattan bars, late-night taxi rides, expensive gifts. Then the footage of Scott tearing Misa's proposal and Walter laughing. This is worthless. You're a genius, Walter. Everything was displayed before the entire company. No one even dared breathe loudly. Scott turned white. Nathan covered his face. Walter collapsed into his seat. Susan picked up the microphone. I want this company to be a place where no one is looked down on. Age, gender, position, Misha. None of that matters. What matters is the person. She scanned the hall. For months I came earlier than everyone, and left later than everyone, to see whether the roots of this company had rotted. She paused, and today my answer is clear. As long as people like you remain in power, this company has no future. The words slammed into everyone like a hammer. Scott stuttered, No! That's not true. I gave everything for this company. Walter dropped to his knees, trembling so hard he couldn't speak. Nathan muttered, I was just joking too much. Every one of them remembered how they had treated the janitor. Susan didn't raise her voice. She simply said, People can make mistakes, but those who refuse to face their mistakes have no future. Her eyes turned toward Misa, standing at the back of the hall, shaking. Young Misa. Come here. Misa froze. All eyes turned to her. She stood, legs trembling. Standing before Susan, she couldn't form a single word. Susan placed a hand on her shoulder. You were not wrong. Your proposal was one of the best I have ever seen. Your thinking, your structure, and most importantly, your heart that looks toward the field. Misa burst into tears, I thought. Today I'd be blamed again. But you saw me. The hall was silent. Kevin stepped forward. Young Misa, starting today, we would like to offer you a full-time position. This company needs people like you. Misa nodded again and again as tears fell. Applause began. One person, then two, then the whole hall. Employees who once ignored her stepped up. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Your proposal was truly impressive. Misa wiped her tears, stood tall, and smiled. Susan nodded. Then let's begin. Yes, I'll do my best. A few days later, a large poster hung in the company lobby. See people. Hear their voices. Employees passing by stopped to read. At the end of the lobby, a silver-haired woman, with her hair tied neatly, was wiping the floor. Chairwoman Susan Miller. No one knew she quietly returned to her janitor position. She didn't need a title. She only needed to see the company's true heart. She packed her bucket. Glanced at the poster, well then. Which spot should I clean next? Her voice was as soft as the breeze. Behind the building, Misa sat on a small bench holding her phone. Grandma, I became a full-time employee. It's okay now. Don't worry. Her voice trembled, but with happiness. From afar, Susan was cleaning the hallway. She turned away, but her eyes softened. Misa's voice drifted across the yard like spring wind. Susan smiled to herself. My work isn't finished yet. In the end, that voice faded gently into the air, soft, strong, and full of resolve. Thank you for listening to the very end of the story. If you love simple but heart-touching stories, please click subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. And so I'll know there are still many people listening to stories like this.